Hello students, good morning to everyone. Welcome back to our online session. In the last session, we have already studied about concept of normalization, why normalization takes place. An answer, normalization takes place for to avoid the data redundancy. Normalization takes place. Also you can say that to organize data efficiently, organization of data into database, the normalization takes place. When the concept of normalization arises, there are lots of reasons, because when a bad database design will occur, at that time various disadvantages will be there, like repetition of information, wastage of memory space, data inconsistency, loss of information, inability to represent information. These are the few reasons. That's why normalization takes place. Now in today's session we will see anomalies in database management system. There are three types of anomalies that occur when the database is not normalized. These are insertion, update and deletion anomaly. Are you getting the concept? How many types anomalies will be there? There are three types of anomalies. Why they occur? When the database is not normalized. At that time anomalies may occur. What are that anomalies? Insertion anomalies, then deletion anomalies, then update anomalies. Now we will see what is insert anomalies. Insert anomalies are nothing but it occurs when a row cannot be added to a relation because not all data are available. Then delete anomalies, when it occurs? It occurs when the removal of record results in loss of important information about an entity. And the last one is update anomalies. It occurs when a change of single attribute is in one record requires changes in multiple records. Here observe one thing. As per the name, that is insert, delete and update. As per the name, the definitions will be there. Insert means, once again, insert anomaly when it occurs, row cannot be added to a relation. At that time, insert anomalies occurs. As per the name, delete anomaly, delete when removal of record results in loss of important information about entity. And update anomalies, update means changes. When a change of single attribute in one record requires change in multiple records. To understand these three types of anomalies, let's take one example. That is, to understand this, we have an example. That is, suppose a manufacturing company stores the employee details in a table named employee. What is the example? Suppose a manufacturing company stores the employee details in a table. What is that table? Employee table will be there. That has 4 attributes. You already know about the employee table attributes, like employee ID will be there, employee name, employee address, employee department. Now employee ID, this attribute is for storing employee's ID. Employee name, for storing the employee's name. Employee address attribute stores employee's address, and the employee department for storing the department details in which the employee works. These are the 4 attributes of the table employee. At some point of table, this table looks like this. Here the table is given. Employee ID, there are 4 IDs, 101, 101, 103, 151. Again same employee names will be there, employee addresses will be there, and employee department will be there. Now here what happens? 101 ID is of Manoj who lives in Mumbai, and his department is IT as well as production. Now consider above table is not normalized because repetitions will be there. That is 101 ID will get repeated. So it is not normalized. We will see the problems that we face when the table is not normalized. That's why first one anomaly. And as I said you earlier, if table is not normalized, then anomalies takes place, and that anomalies will be insert anomaly, delete anomaly, and update anomaly. Insert anomaly in this, for this table, insert anomaly is that suppose a new employee joins the company who is under training and currently not assigned to any department. Then we would not be able to insert the data into the table if employee department field does not allow nulls. You know about null constraint, in that we can't put any nulls. At that time you can't insert any record in this table for a new employee. That's why insert anomaly will be occur. Now the second one anomaly is delete anomaly. Suppose if at a point of time the company closes the department cells, then deleting the rows that are having employee department as a cells would also delete the information of employee Manoj, since he is assigned only to this department. And last one is of update anomaly. In the above table, we have two rows of employee Manoj. Are you getting? There are two rows of employee Manoj. As he belongs to two departments of company, that is IT department is also there and production department is also there. If we want to update the address of the Manoj, then we have to update the same in two rows. What is the address now? Now what is the address of Manoj? Mumbai. But if you want to change that, it will be Pune, then you have to update this data in the same two rows, or the data will become inconsistent. If somehow the correct address gets updated in one department but not in other department, then as per the database, Manoj would be having two different addresses, which is not correct and would lead to inconsistent data. To overcome these three anomalies, we need to normalize the data. To understand normalization, one must understand the concept of functional dependency first. Are you getting? As I said you in the last lecture, you have a knowledge about why normalization required. Normalization means efficient organization of data. If there will be any redundancy in the data or repetition will be occur in the table, then normalization takes place. If a table is not normalized, if a relation is not normalized, then what happens? Different problems occurs, like repetition of information will be there. As I told you, wastage of memory space, data inconsistency will be there, loss of information will be there, and an inability to represent information will be there. And so that there are three anomalies occurs, that are insert, delete and update anomalies. And to overcome these anomalies, we need to normalize the data. And first, to understand the normalization. If you want to understand the normalization, one must understand the concept of functional dependency first. Now, what is functional dependency? Is the main point in the normalization. Functional dependency occurs when one attribute in a relation uniquely determine another attribute. Are you getting? Functional dependency, when it occurs, when one attribute in a in a relation uniquely determine another attribute. Or you can say, let R be a relation and let X and Y be an arbitrary attributes of R. Then it can be said that Y is functionally dependent on X if and only if each X value is associated with precisely one y value, and it can be shown as x belongs to y, that is y functionally depend on x. Are you getting the concept of functional dependency? How one is dependent on another, that is functional dependency. Here x depends on y, that is y functionally dependent on, belongs to y means y functionally dependent on x. Functional dependency, or you can say in simple word, functional dependency is represented by which sign? There is a arrow sign, directed arrow will be there, that is x belongs to, that is functionally depend on y, where x functionally determines y. The left hand side attribute determine the value of attribute on the right hand side. Now this is the overall definition of functional dependency. How functional dependency will be represented? Functional dependency is represented by using the directed arrow. It is nothing but when it occurs when one attribute of one relation uniquely determine another attribute, at that time we use functional dependency. There are various goals of functional dependencies, like as follow. To avoid data redundancy we will use functional dependency. Then to enhance data reliability we will use functional dependency. Functional dependencies are used to decompose relations in the normalization process. In functional dependency diagram, that is FDD, as you said, ER diagram, ED diagram. Likewise, functional dependency diagram is nothing but FDD. Functional dependency is represented by rectangles representing attributes and an arrow showing dependency. Likewise, figure shows that a functional dependency diagram for the simplest functional dependency, that is x belongs to y, x, y, these are the attributes which are represented in the rectangle, and for the dependency purpose, functional dependency purpose, we will use the arrow between them, directed arrow between x and y. Here x determines y, or you can say y is functionally dependent on x. This is one of the example of functional dependency. How you can define the functional dependency, what are the notations used to represent the functional dependency. There are rectangles are used for the attributes, and for the functional dependency purpose we will use the directed arrow. In the next session we will see the examples of functional dependency. Thank you.